Hey, what's up, guys? I'm back to the Twin State Podcast, and we're here live at Providence State High School state champions. We got Coach Chad Grier on the show today. Thank you so much for taking the
It's a
time.
little Pat McAfee.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Well, that's how we like it.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. West Virginia guy.
Right.
Go Mountaineers.
How does I guess Will went there. How
did.
are you a McAfee guy?
I love West Virginia. I mean, they were so good to him and my first granddaughter and my daughter-in-law, and just we had incredible experiences there going to games, and he had a great experience there. So I'm a lifelong West Virginia fan. Let's go Mountaineers. And so McAfee part of that, yeah, let's go. I'm a Pat McAfee fan too. Then he does WWE, and I love WWE. So that's even
Love it.
all the ties. All
Love
the things,
it.
all the things.
I mean, I haven't been to a game. I need to go to. I've heard the atmosphere.
I think the only one I went to was in Charlotte, and Carolina got clapped. So I mean,
That's how it's supposed to happen. Man, y'all just came. We got to talk about this first. Y'all just came off a state championship run. First of all, what were the emotions? I mean, you go through this entire season. This season was a perfect record in 13-0. What goes through your emotions as they blow the final whistle and you've actually won it?
Usually, and this is awful. I wish it wasn't this way, but when we win, it's usually more relief to me than it is joy. And I don't. Losing is just the worst. I don't handle that well. Even at my age, I've not learned to handle losing well. But winning has become almost like I think the expectation is that we're supposed to win, and if we don't, I feel like it's something I could have done better or should have done better to prepare our kids. So, but I will say this year it was a little different. I mean, the kids loved each other, and I think we felt that from the beginning. And their connection, the connection with the coaches, our coaching staff was connected. I mean, just was a really unique vibe. I mean, I think our football family is a very real thing, and we've had some really great and close teams over the years, and a lot of kids still continue to stay connected. But this team was a little different. I mean, it just felt different.
When you look at your 13-0 season, it was a perfect record on paper. Where do you think the biggest lesson or the biggest game was for your team to fight adversity and to finish the season how you set it off?
Looking at it before the season started, looking at our schedule, we were like, man, if we can, go 3-2 in these first 5 games, right. That'd be great. I mean, we could easily go 0-5.
Yeah.
But somewhere, we win 3 of them, we'll be, feel like we're on a good path. We'll be battle tested, ready for the playoffs, kind of thing. And to that first game against Roman Catholic, we knew they were good. But we were probably looking at Roseville, thinking with all their firepower that was going to be the big game. And so, come to find out, I think Roman Catholic's probably the best team we played all year. They won the 5A, which is the biggest class in Pennsylvania, state championship, right. And their quarterback is the all-time leading passer in the history of Philadelphia football. I mean, they were really good and well coached and great kids. And I mean, we enjoyed playing with them. But that was a great football game. We didn't play very crisp offensively. We left some points on the field, but we did what we had to do late to win and felt good. But after that, the closest game we had was 21 points. So that was nuts against the schedule we played.
Right.
I think when we got to Raven Gap, we were all right. We lost a very close state championship game to them the year before, and they're very good and again very well coached. So for us, it was our kids were really geared to play that game, and we played probably as clean a game as we could play. I mean, it really just came together that week. So it was that Z had 4 touchdowns throwing, 4 running. Right. Gordon had just like 3 ridiculous catches. Steele had a ridiculous catch you played about as well as we could play, and it was fun. And that just kind of set us up. We go 5-0 with those first 5. We felt like okay, we got a real shot. Now the school down the street is always a big rival for us, and so we had to. Deal with that, and then end up having to play. They end up beating Raven Gap up there at their place. Score like 55 points on them. So and their running back I think is probably the best in the state. And man, when they came here for the finals, we were like, hey, we may have a game on our hands, and you better be ready. You never know in a rival game. So it was fun to beat our biggest rival in the most important game.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like a rivalry game. We were talking about this last week. I think the last time we were here was like the Friday before Duke and Carolina, and I was going into it where I was like, "There's no shot in the world we lose this game," and I talked a lot of crap. And he didn't say anything because he didn't think they were going to win. And then the second Seth Trimble hit the shot, E. Jackson just looked at me and screamed in my face for 15 seconds
Such
straight.
a great game to watch.
Oh,
man.
yeah.
I mean, I've always looked forward to watching that game.
Man, blessed rivalry, but we really want to start with your journey from the beginning because you weren't always in coaching. You were once a quarterback yourself. Growing up, how did you know that really the quarterback position was something you wanted to get yourself into?
I don't know. I think I just played it, and actually I was probably a better basketball player than I was a football player.
Really?
It just came easy. I had to work hard to be good at football, I felt like. And I don't know, that just deep down that kind of connected with me. I like the whole thing of having to work hard to earn something. I enjoy what it feels like at the end of you come out the other side, you know. So I kind of fell in love with the process it takes to play. Football is a practice sport. You practice 8 months out of the year to get to season, and you get 10 guaranteed games. That's it. You know, basketball, you can play 2 or 3 games a week or a weekend, and, you know,
pick it up right off.
Yeah, let's go to the next game and move on. And I think with football, I just bought into the whole delayed gratification nature of the sport. And so I don't know. I mean, I ended up, you know, did okay in high school and got to go to college and play, and ended up at East Carolina and got a PhD in quarterback play from some really great coaches that I got to play for. I say play, you know, I set a record at East Carolina that still stands for
It's crazy.
most consecutive quarters wearing a baseball hat, which is not a great record to have if you're trying to be the guy. So I watched Jeff Blake play a lot of ball, but I got to play under guys, learn from guys like Kevin Gilbride, who was the original architect of the run and shoot, which was way before your time. You don't know who June Jones or Mouse Davis or Kevin Gilbride are, but those are the 3 guys that built that offense, and so got to learn that. In fact, all those books behind you there are playbooks from him, from Mark Richt, from
Really?
Steve Logan. So just some really great coaches that. And the rules were different. There were no limits on practice. We practiced every day for hours and hours, it felt like. And so there was a long indie period every day. So the coach, we were really getting developed and trained on details of footwork and how to play the position. And you know, that didn't really happen in today's game. They get 20 hours a week, and it's hard to spend a lot of time teaching mechanics and fundamentals, which I think is an issue in the game today, to be honest with you. But
when you were sitting there playing quarterback at ECU, was there ever a thought in your head of, man, I might want to coach one day?
No, I wanted to play in the NFL. I mean, that's all I ever wanted to do.
It's the dream.
Yeah, that was the dream. And, you know, didn't work out by a long shot. So, you know, it was, you know, kind of a surreal moment for me to see my son get drafted, you know, by our hometown team. You know,
Right.
How do you make that up? So
I do want to go there, but I want to start off, I guess, with Will, because Davidson Day, if I'm right, Davidson Day was your first head coaching job, correct?
Yeah. I mean, somebody asked me this the other day. It's like, you've been a coach before, right? Head coach before. I'm like, oh yeah, Lake Norman Giants. So,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I mean, that was it. So we leaned on, you know, and I think Sarepka mentioned this, but Larry McNulty it was my high school coach, and a guy named Mike Hawks over at Charlotte Latin, like really, man, they just took us under and you know, shared the keys of the kingdom. Kind of, here's how we do things, and then, you know, that book there, Season of Life, we use that as kind of a blueprint. But you know, we decided if we're going to do this, it had to be bigger than football. I mean, we both were in business, and I had 25 years in the IT world basically, and you know, the whole Davidson daytime, I had a job outside of football. I mean, I had a real job, paid the bills. I mean, so, but I was very blessed and fortunate that, and I think God's hand was on all of this, but it was without retelling the whole Davidson Day thing, but just agreed to do it for a year, ended up doing it for 7, and actually had a great run at work where I was able to work with people that became very close friends, but I spent probably more time at Davidson Day doing football than I did my job. But I think
That's crazy.
I think God's hand was on it. That's what it was supposed to be. And then when that was over, you know, if I believed everything that happened at Davidson Day was ordained, you know, and by His will, then and I do, I had to believe that the end of it was also His will. You know, it was time, and so you know, moving on was hard from that. But when I did, that's the first time we said, okay, I'm gonna try to coach. I'm just gonna see if I love it as much, if I have to do it, versus I got to do it. Like I quit playing basketball and golf to coach. That became my hobby.
Really?
So when I left Davidson Day, it was like, well, maybe I won't like coaching as much. So we were going to take just go see. So we took a flyer to move to Charleston, which we both love, at a school that had 1 year and never won a game and no facilities, no nothing, and made no sense. But man, I loved it. Loved the kids, loved everything about it. And so that haven't worked outside of being in a school coaching football since.
How hard of a decision is it? I mean, like you said, like Oceanside was at a point where they hadn't won a game yet.
Mm-mm.
And how hard of a decision is it to pick up your bags and go to a school and just go for it? Brand new place, brand new school, brand new team. Like, how hard of a decision is that to make?
Like you said, you get looked at. I mean, if you don't produce at a school, I mean, you're already coming in at a bad school. But if you can't turn it around, I guess perception kind of changes. So was that also a factor into it?
No, because honestly, every bit of this football journey is 100%, I think, a result of me doing the best I can to stay in God's will.
Mm-hmm.
I think He's led me where He wants me to be. And while it doesn't make sense on paper that, in fact, the head of school there, the principal, and I became very close, and she would ask me, why in the world would you come here? Why did you do this? And, and she was not a Christian, and I was, keep working on her and praying for her. But, I just said my faith. I just believe this is where He wanted me to be. I prayed hard on it. And when you authentically pray and lay it at the cross, and He puts on your heart what He wants you to do. And I do remember now, and I have told this a couple of times, but we're driving. The school actually was being built in Mount Pleasant. They're meeting in McClellanville, which is like a shrimp village, about 45 miles up the road. And so to get there from Charlotte, I took a little cut through that. So it's the day I'm going to be introduced to the kids and to the local media. And I got behind this log truck on a 2-lane road in the middle of the country. I mean, just, and I can't get around it. And, I've got my truck's 20 years old with 330,000 miles on. The radio doesn't really work. It only gets a couple of stations, depending on where you are.
Sure.
And and aux cord doesn't work, so I'm kind of stuck. And I'm just, and it just hits me. I'm like, what am I doing? I mean, my entire family, my whole life, everything I've ever done, I'm leaving it to do what? I mean, what is the draw? I mean, I took it for a stipend. I wasn't even didn't have a job at the school, didn't want one. I just wanted to see if I liked coaching ball, if I had to do it, kind of thing. And the song that came on the radio is the only station I could get was Lauren Daigle's "Trust in You."
Right.
And I don't know if you're familiar with the song, but it was. I'm all of a sudden, man, I just feel like, tears coming down my face. I'm like, man, this is what God wants me to do. I mean, this is why you're doing this. And so, instead of turning around, that log truck finally pulled off, and I went on to school, and then, had this incredible experience for 3 years with great people and families. And I mean, coming back here, I felt like was because I need to be back here raising Hank, my soon-to-be 7-year-old. But didn't realize how much support we had down there. The people that we met there and became close with are still very supportive of Hank. And, I mean, we could have easily stayed. But, I think God wanted me here. I think this is where that whole thing was in preparation to come back to Charlotte to be Providence Day.
Man, I love that. And before we jump into PD, you've mentioned your faith a lot throughout this podcast. How big of a role has God just played throughout your entire football journey? Because, I mean, it's been most of your life, whether it's coaching or playing or even your sons. How have you kind of seen Him work through you throughout these years?
I mean, I think everything that's happened with football is you can't make up the stuff that happened at Davidson Day. Like, that's not even believable. We used to joke, Walt Disney himself, if he was alive, wouldn't make a movie about it because it's too big of a fairy tale.
Right.
The kids and the families and the coaches that came together to make that happen. And I mean, it really, as big as my ego can be sometimes, maybe it ain't big enough to think I did that. I mean, God did that. And I really went through a journey. At the same time that was going on, I was going through some personal stuff, and I really had to. He had to break me and humble me and put me back together, and I had to do it based on faith and belief, and really use the values that we kind of built for football. I had to use my personal life, and I think it really started off with this, quiet time I do every morning. I get up and read one chapter of the Bible a day to start my day, and then I'm just quiet in prayer, and I think He's revealed every step of the way. The things that have happened have been in His is doing. And I really believe that as sure as I'm sitting here. So
Yeah, it's always funny to me when you're on the back end of kind of looking at what God's done in your life, because when you're about to go into it, and there's that uncertainty of like, man, what am I about to do?
Yeah.
And I always think it's so cool to look back of, man, you took a shot at Davidson Day where they didn't have a football team, and you do what you did there, and things that like probably no one would have thought would have been possible. Then you go to a school that really they had a team, but they weren't winning. And then you come to Charlotte over COVID, come back to where, honestly, you had to leave here then to come back, and then are taking over this powerhouse school. I think it's so cool to see what God's done in your life and also the people around you.
Well, I think that's the key. I mean, what you said, because none of this happened with just me. I mean, you can't do football right by yourself. I don't care who you are. I'll get way too much credit for winning because my name's on it, but I can't tell you the number of just great men who love ball, love kids, love coaching. A lot of them love the Lord, and have come together to do this. And it's not then the families layering behind that, because you had to have great parents to support the way we do this with kids, and you got to have great support from administration. So these layers of this thing that just, and again, I think that's God putting people together that He wants together. I mean, one of the things I pray for daily is that He bring me the kids and the coaches He wants me to impact, to be impacted by. So I don't take it lightly when, all these, families come through this time of year, looking at the school, and I mean, I get a chance every day to share my faith with them. I get, we have 7 core values. Our last core value is I'm a winner, and I want kids to say that and believe that. It's a self-image thing. I think there's way too much self-harm, teen depression. I mean, with young people today, I don't understand it. If they know they were created perfectly in His image to be a winner, with a plan to prosper you, not to harm you, your compass should come from that, and it should never be able to be taken away. And I get to share that message every time somebody sits in front of my desk right there. So, and I do. I don't waste that opportunity. So it's, I think, the journey has been about relationships and with kids, with their families, with coaches, administration. It's just been an incredible ride. But I think the second I start trying to say that I'm doing this or I made this happen, it all fall apart, because that's not at all the truth. I mean, I think this is God's hand on everything.
Man, that's an unbelievable testimony. I think, man, that's an unbelievable spot you're in. That is so cool. I want to ask you. You've coached some unbelievable quarterbacks, including your son Sam Hartman, and the list kind of goes on.
Yeah.
I guess I want to ask you about both those guys, but starting with your son, how cool of an experience was it? First of all, like not a lot of dads get the opportunity to actually coach their son
at this high of a level, especially high school ball.
Yeah, and to watch him do what he did at Davidson Day and continue college and like how cool of a ride has that been for you?
Oh, it was an awful ride. It was the first 2 years were horrible. It was I knew that there's only 2 ways to coach your son. It's either daddy ball or it's whatever the standard is. He's got to uphold it to the highest level. And there was no option. It had to be the latter. So imagine you're a 14, 15-year-old kid. You're going through all the life changes, all the things, girls. Dad's not as cool anymore as girls. And Dad happens to be this jerk football coach that's constantly on my case and screaming at me and, pushing me. And, if I'm, 1 second late to something, it's the end of the world kind of deal.
Right.
And it was hard. I mean, it was hard on him. It was hard on me. It was hard on both of us. His junior year, man, it really turned. And it was, and he had an incredible year, and things started, coming together. But then that senior year was just magical. It was like he was 12 years old again, back when we were best friends. I mean, he's 12. He's old enough to do everything for himself, but he's young enough where I'm still, his hero kind of thing.
Right.
That's what happens to dads. Your dad sure feels the same way.
Sure.
Then you go through that little phase or period where, I'm feeling myself, and I got to figure out. I know what's going on. You're an old guy. You don't know. And that senior year, man, it all came back together, and we were super close and have been since. But it was just, we, great memories of, we'd practice and we'd come home, and Nala would feed us, and we'd sit on the couch and eat, watch Big Bang Theory reruns, and
that's awesome.
Just laugh. It was great. And then he went to college, and that the sad thing for that is your folks about to find out is that once you go off to college, if you're home for more than a couple of weeks at a time ever, there's probably something wrong. I mean, it's hard. I mean, you let your kids go, and it's been so proud of him and all my boys and what they've accomplished, and it's really cool, and it's also kind of crazy. I'm doing it again with the little guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the coaching journey with Will he made me a much better coach than I was, and maybe am. I mean, I could call anything literally, and he would make it work. I mean, if it wasn't there, he'd do something with his legs, or he'd make some ridiculous throw, and it'd work. So, we had a lot of success, but any coach will tell you that success comes from having great players. So, I mean, it's you can be the best coach in the world. You can get up on the board, write all kind of things. If you don't have guys that can go do it,
right,
it ain't gonna matter. And you might not be a very good coach at all, and if you got kids that can play, you might win some games. So.
And I love that. And going off your son, you then went on with Sam Hartman, which is not a bad
No, it was
transition.
great, but you missed one. So, he doesn't get enough credit. So the next guy was Anthony DeGioia. He was at Huff. He'd never thrown a varsity pass, and he came over his senior year. And just what a great kid. And you talk about having regrets. I mean, I was so hard on Anthony. We didn't have enough. We only had 23 kids on the team that year, the whole team. In fact, we beat Marvin Ridge with 14 kids that played in the game. We had 18 dressed out. We had 14 play, and beat a big, good-sized public school in a good ball game. But Anthony had this tremendous year, and he was such a great kid and great leader, and man, just took us a state championship game. We lost in overtime on a 2-point conversion. We ran a Statue of Liberty for a 2-point conversion from the 10, and H. Strahan, who's another great player, ended up playing in the Ivy League. He just right to pylon. I mean, the pylon blows up, and everybody's waiting, and they marked him like at this inch line.
Oh, no, that's awful.
And so we lost instead. Yeah, but it was Anthony did a tremendous job. He actually got to play at Furman.
Wow.
He actually he was a preferred walk-on, but he dressed out. They traveled him and dressed him out to play Virginia Tech that year. I mean, it was really cool for Anthony to see him accomplish all that, and now he's a very successful real estate agent up at the Lake, does a really good job. And then Sam came along, and that was just another just incredible human that I've learned from and able to grow up with in some ways, and just watching him grow up, and just take a lot of pride in seeing a kid like that succeed through the face of so much adversity. But just awesome kid, awesome family. I got to talk to his dad for a long time, I think last week actually, and proud of Sam, but he went through a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's always funny to me talking to guys because people glorify you when you when you make it to the top, but people don't understand the work it takes to get there. Like, I mean, especially these guys in high school right now, like all the extra practices you're having, because everyone goes to practice.
Yeah.
It's the extra stuff you're having to do that sets you apart. And I think,
and it's how you practice too.
Sure.
Everybody has the same kind of requirements, expectations. Everybody has summer programs. Everybody has practices. But what do you do during that time? And how hard do you work? And are you willing to hold your teammates accountable? Are you willing to push yourself, hold yourself accountable? And then it's the stuff outside of that too. How much more are you willing to do? But it's a lot. But I think that's the case. Anything in life you want to be great at, it takes a great effort. You guys doing this, a lot of guys could get a podcast going, but not a lot of guys are gonna be successful because you work hard at it and you've taken the time and effort to teach yourself skills and get the equipment you need and do the little things the right way. If you do little things right, big things kind of take care of themselves. And y'all have done that with this podcast. Same thing with high school football.
We appreciate that. I want to know. I actually remember this night because we're big NFL guys. We're big Panther guys, and I think we were on a cruise ship, if I remember, and we were supposed to be doing something. And I looked at my dad. I was like, "I'm coming in early. I'm watching the draft." And I remember we're sitting in this little like cruise ships are. You're like a tight corner, and I'm sitting in my bed just watching the TV and seeing like hometown Charlotte guy Will Grier get drafted to the Panthers.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you cheer for whatever team he's on now, but
sure.
I'm sure growing up, Charlotte, you're a Panthers guy.
Yeah, we were original PSL holders and
like
tickets for the whole get together.
How I don't even know how to process that, but how surreal was it? One, to watch your son do everything and then get drafted by your team y'all grew up watching together, I'm sure.
Yeah. It was surreal, to say the least. It was, the crazy thing was we go to my brother's house. He lives in town, and we kind of had the draft party, whatever you want to call it there.
Yeah.
the night before, Will's agent, who's Joel Siegel, who's very respected in the league. I mean, I think Forbes had him like the 5th most influential guy in the NFL at one point. I mean,
that's crazy.
So, Joel says, "Hey, look, I got a call from the Giants. They just traded up to 30 from 30 with the Patriots to get ahead of the Patriots.
Right.
And they said they're doing that to take Will. They had the 6th pick of the draft. They're going to take Will at the end of the first round. So we're like, oh my God, we're going to be a first round draft pick. And we had like a catered barbecue over the house, what my brother did. So we're just feeling no pain. We're just having a great time. Waiting for the call in the first round.
Sure.
And let's go. And with the 6th pick, the Giants took Daniel Jones. And we're like, and by the way, know and love Daniel and his family. They're great people, and what a great kid. And man's pull for him hard now. But we're kind of like, oh, all right, well, I guess we're not going to the Giants at the end of the first round. So now what? So the thought was the Patriots would take him at the last pick of the first round, and they didn't. They took the first defensive back off the board, which is a very Patriot thing to do. Very
Belichick.
Very Belichickish thing to do. So, and ironically, Will and Daniel took they did the 30 visits. They took it together at the Patriots.
And I'm sure they were tight, both being from here.
Oh, look, how crazy is that? They played in the same little tiny private school league in the conference. I mean, and Sam Hartman, the 3 of those guys in the league that all from.
We had this conversation with Sarafka of like, how do you have like?
When you say you had a conversation with Sarafka, did he actually talk or did he do sign language?
Depends on who you ask.
Did he rub food in his hair and stuff like that? I mean, he does that a lot. I mean, like, he had grilled cheese, and he usually carries grilled cheese wherever he goes. Did he have grilled cheese?
He loves to say that, I forget what he said, but it was something along the lines of, the kids at PD try to take the language that he says around. He's like, nah, that's just for Coach Sarafko. But it's funny, yeah. He was fumbling the bag a little bit there.
He's not very smart.
Grilled cheese sandwiches.
He loves grilled cheese. He makes them like every night and puts them in bags and brings them. He eats them like during practice, all the time. And
then you should have shared.
He'll rub it like in his hair, and then like you'll see him later kind of pick it out. And I mean, just this bizarre behavior. But
man, breaking news. Yeah, this is great stuff.
He's special.
That's awesome. But so that's crazy, and then you find out. He's going to so where you thought he was going to New England.
Well, we thought maybe the Patriots would take him. They didn't. So now, second round, we're looking at like, man, there's really nobody that's going to take a quarterback. So we kind of, they've already taken, 4. And so anyway, it gets to the third round, and kind of we're looking at it, and we're going, well, the Patriots are probably going to be at it. And so it's the very end of the third round. We're like, if that doesn't happen, we're going to have to order more barbecue. It's going to be another day.
Right.
And so when the pick before the Patriots is the Panthers. No clue. That wasn't even on. He didn't visit that wasn't on the radar. I mean,
really?
that was not somebody to even talk to. And they called, and it was crazy because then we were able to drive. Can you drive down the stadium?
Right.
So, literally it took us 10 minutes to drive to the stadium from my brother's house, and it was so cool. I mean, we just I had an Oceanside shirt on that night, which is the same colors as the Panthers. How crazy is that? So it looked like I already knew the Panthers were going to pick him. I had no. It was an Oceanside T-shirt basically. But yeah, man, it was awesome, and so excited. Cam was so good to Will. Took him to dinner. Told him that he was going to be his mentor. That he didn't really have that in the league coming through, and he was going to be that for him. And Herney and the Turners. I mean, just really great football minds and people around him, and then they all got fired.
Right.
So life changes quickly, and he had to adapt. And but he's found a way to stay in the league he just finished his 7th year, so pretty cool.
And playing I don't know that there's probably not a better place
Philly
to play
and Dallas, great options.
He loves it. I mean, they've been really good to him there. He and Dak are very close, and he sold his house in Charleston, and they bought a house in Dallas and prosper out that way, and they love it.
Man,
doing well.
That's so cool. Actually, I wanted to ask you this: when you go through a season like y'all have had this year, a 13-0 record, and y'all have really kind of built this program to the standard of either winning state championships or being pretty doggone right there. How do you keep your team like not complacent, like wanting to continue to strive to be the best?
Well, I think we talk a lot about trust the process, surrender the outcome, and fall in love with the process. Fall in love with what it takes to earn the right to expect to win. And so it's a grind, and the guys get after it. And I think the biggest thing was we had our two biggest classes the last 2 years. So last year we had 16 seniors, which in a public school world that's not very many, but it's the biggest class we've ever had since I've been at Providence Day.
Right.
Biggest I've had, the exception of 1 year at Oceanside. They never had 16 seniors. And then we got
on the team.
On the team, we'll have 19 this year. So it was the oldest in terms of we had juniors and seniors, the most juniors and seniors we ever had. The first year we haven't started a freshman, so we had some experienced guys that played a lot of ball together. But 2 years ago we lost in the finals. Very talented team, but it didn't feel, something was off. It just, the connection wasn't consistently great, and I think the kids felt it and recognized it. So when we had our off-season meetings, that was a lot of things that they were talking about. They wanted to get back to, really feel like the family, and it was magic this year. I mean, they'd go to Waffle House every Wednesday night together. They did all kind of things, together on the field, off the field. We did a Operation Christmas Child shoebox thing that everybody participated in.
Giving back.
Just all the little things, right? Made it bigger than football. And I think the kids, at the end of the day, they loved each other. And I think that was palpable. I had people who could say, yeah, I could feel that, see that from the way they played together. We talk a lot about don't play with each other, play for each other. And felt like that happened this year. So it was, I think, because this group of seniors was part of both, they knew the difference. Since the way they've started off in the weight room this offseason, I think they get it. They need to lead us that same field.
Yeah.
Last couple questions for you. As you've kind of looked over your journey, is there a biggest lesson you've kind of picked up along the way?
That's tough on one biggest lesson.
Yeah, I think football is a great teacher of lessons, and certainly of life skills. That's a cop-out a little bit, but I also think that it's more than cliche. I think the biggest lesson for me was reminding me that I have a chance to impact young people every day, and what am I going to do with that opportunity? Because it could be gone tomorrow. Things happen, and so I don't want to waste a day of it. So whether it's my kids here and I call them my kids because they're like part of my extended family, or it's kids that come in here that may not even come to school here, but I get a chance to talk to a young person, and not just as some. And I tell kids this. If some of these guys that come in with their parents, and I lean in and grill them. Why are you here? They say football. Like, that's not the right reason. Because this school's too hard for that. It's got to be bigger than football.
Right.
But I start pouring into them about being a winner and what that means to me. And I said, if I ran you in Walmart, and I'm just some old guy with white hair that's trying to talk to you about Jesus and his love for you, tune me out, wouldn't pay attention to anything I had to say. But because you think I can help you with football, or I can help you achieve your goals with ball, and maybe the school, whatever else, then I've got ethos. I've got an opportunity now to pour some other stuff in, and I think that's probably the biggest lesson, if you want to call it that. I've been given a platform, an opportunity to impact young people, and I don't want to take that lightly ever.
How was it? Was it ever cool for you? Was there ever a point? I guess early in the Davidson days when the D1 coaches started flooding in. Was that ever not a shell shock, but shoot, we can really start to go to new places.
You know what? I think we always, Sarepka and I both. I think we always were conscious of self-aware of what we didn't have, what we weren't. Mm-hmm. So no matter how good we were, we always felt like we weren't good enough. We could. So when and I didn't know what I was doing with that. So if Will wouldn't have been as gifted as he was, who knows? It probably wouldn't happen that way. But I do know that when they came in, I felt like I could do it because he's my son. But he was being highly recruited. So I made this book, recruiting booklet. So I had a page on each kid that we had, and we didn't have that many kids. So
sure.
But I arranged them alphabetically by first name. So Will was about last. And so when the coach would come in and say, hey, I want to talk to you about Will, well, because he's my son, they would indulge me. And I'd start with, Aaron Seward with 2 A's. And let me tell you about Aaron and what a great receiver he is. And these guys,
that's cool.
They'd be very patient to let me get through. They wouldn't offend me being his dad, right? Versus I think if I did that now, people like, dude, I'm not here to talk about those guys. Right. But I got to build relationships and meet a lot of coaches through that process. And frankly, I'd ask him for plays. I'd say, hey, man, tell me what's your favorite thing in this situation. I'd shamelessly steal whatever I could get out of him. So I used Will in a lot of ways to help me figure out how to be effective as a coach and help kids figure out how to get to college.
Man, that's great. Kind of our last question for you. As you're going into this next season, what's kind of the goal that you and Coach Sarapka have for this team? I know the players like to set goals for themselves, but if y'all had a goal for this upcoming season, and they're still far ways out, but
my goals don't really change. I mean, we don't have, I don't want to minimize that we have to do football right. That's
Right.
our ethos to get kids to want, whether in the school or not in the school, to want to come here and play. We got to do it right and be good at it. But I don't have a goal to win a game. My goal is to win kids, and we can use football to. Winning kids means to get them to buy into those 7 core values. We want to compete with class at the highest possible level, and we're playing at a very high level now. We've been nationally ranked, and we've kind of exceeded, I think, what we thought our ceiling could be. Even I mean, it's wild what God can do if you just trust and go do things the right way. And then lastly, we want every kid to have a great high school experience, and if they've got the desire and the ability to play at the next level, we take that really seriously to help them get there. So those are my goals every year. They don't really change, and we allow the kids to set a social goal, an academic goal, and a football goal every year. And so, and it's not surprising. Most teams that we've had have said they want to be undefeated state champions. It's happened twice in 15 years.
People don't realize how hard that goal actually is.
Right. In the higher level ball you go, I mean, the harder it is to win every week. And it's hard to win a high school football game at any level. I mean, it just takes a lot, and ball bounces funny ways, and things happen. But we've been extremely fortunate to win a lot of games. But I think, I've always said, if you win enough kids, winning games takes care of itself. And I think that's what we've been good at, is winning kids.
Well, I mean, it's obvious in what you're building here, and it's only continuing, and we're excited to kind of sit and continue to watch it, Coach. Thank you so much for your time. We really do appreciate it. Of course,
come do your thing. Do a live remote or something.
1,000%. We're down anytime.
We're playing ambassador this year. So there you go.
That's gonna be a game.
Who are you gonna pull for?
I don't
Has
know.
Pogue done this with y'all?
No.
Then you got to. Me and Srepka both have. You got to pull for
Pogue's
us.
we actually tried to set it up with Pogue.
Does Pogue know Sean?
Oh yeah, Pogue knows Sean.
Oh, okay. Well, I was trying to use that.
So
as
Sean, the boys. So we were with Cole and Sean last night, and they all came down to an ambassador game earlier this season. But I know they'll all be at the PD ambassador game next year.
I'm sure that'd be fun.
Man, and we'll be back too. We're excited, man.
Come back anytime.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Appreciate it.